Hello, I am the Honest Critic, and I tell you exactly what I think of a film. Today I was talking about the 1992 film, The Reservoir Dogs. Reservoir Dogs is the first film by auteur, yes, I say auteur, filmmaker Quentin Tarantino. This movie was written by him in a couple of weeks because he needed to make his first film. He was already pretty old. He had been living from house to house, crashing on people's houses for a while now. He took some acting classes, and he actually went to a school where I think the wife of Harvey Keitel was there, so he got the script of Harvey Keitel, he got producer Lawrence Bender, who produced most of his films, and he wanted to do it first for a couple, not that much money, shoot it black and white, and keep it mostly in a warehouse to keep the budget low, but Lawrence Bender said, give him some time, he'll raise some money. Harvey Keitel got involved, so it became a much bigger film. And they were able to cast great actors in that era who wanted to be in the film because they loved the script and they saw Harvey Keitel was attached, including Chris Penn, Steve Buscemi, Michael Madsen, Eddie Bunker, who was a real ex-criminal and ex-convict who used to write books, and he actually would sell robbery plans to people, yeah, Lawrence Tierney, a great ensemble cast, including Tim Roth as well. That's a very basic backstory. So now, let us get into the film.
Entire song. It's a metaphor for big dicks.
No, it ain't. It's about a girl.
The film opens with a great conversation where Quentin Tarantino, as Mr. Brown, gives a speech about how lack of virgin's about a guy with a big dick, and they just have this great conversation. This really shows what Quentin Tarantino is such a great auteur. Since he writes scripts, his dialogue is very fluid, it's very natural, and the way he shoots the scene makes it feel like you're having a conversation with somebody. And that's why I like these characters, because they feel like real people, not just some criminals running a bank. And I do like this.
All right, ramblers, let's get rambling.
That kind of showing, hey, let's get into character kind of thing. This opening credits is great. Yeah. Set to a little green bag. Oh, and Steve Buscemi once said in an interview that he was so glad that Quentin Tarantino did this. He literally put the actor's name in front of their face. So that really helps the show out. It's kind of like a show reel, kind of. After opening credits, we see that Mr. Orange has been shot.
I'm sorry. I can't believe she killed me, man.
And he's taken to the warehouse where they have the rendezvous.
We have fucking made it. We're in the warehouse.
Mr. Orange is thinking he's gonna die and asks Larry to take him to the hospital, but Mr. White, aka Larry, does this otherwise. He doesn't want to get arrested by the cops. Mr. Pink shows up. They have a conversation saying he knows they were set up.
Set up for what?
Right.
Shit. Orange got tagged.
Good shot.
Fuck.
And he also says he had to shoot his way out, and as well, he's talked about Mr. Blonde, who shot a bunch of people, including a young black girl, and they see he's a psychopath. And
What you're supposed to do is act like a fucking professional. Psychopath ain't a professional. Can't work with a psychopath.
you can't work with psychopaths. Okay, so it turns out Mr. Pink has stashed the diamonds.
Possible one of them gonna hold the diamonds and
No way.
make yourself sure.
I got the diamonds.
We get a little flashback from Mr. White. No, actually, it's funny. Every time we saw Mr. White, Mr. Blonde, and Mr. Orange's flashback, I thought everyone was going to get a flashback, even Mr. Brown, Mr. Blue, and Mr. Pink, but no. Anyway.
Alabama. I haven't seen Bama over a year and a half.
So, Mr. White, Larry, is good friends with Joe, and he gets invited to be in the Diamond Heist.
How many employees?
I'd say around 20. Security pretty lax. They most usually just deal in boxes.
I also hear about Bama, or Alabama, who is actually the main girl in one of Quentin Tarantino's scripts for True Romance. Now we're back to the present. again, Mr. Orange has passed out from blood loss. Mr. Pink and Mr. White get into it.
Fuck you touching me for, man?
And then Mr. Blonde shows up.
You kids shouldn't play so rough. Somebody's gonna start crying.
Which Mr. White is very mad at because he just went psycho. Mr. Pink's like, I only trust him because there's no way a cop or undercover cop would be this homicidal. So Mr. Blonde shows he's really cool. Michael Madsen's performance is great in this. And he shows he has brought a cop.
Jesus Christ.
And we get a great trunk shot, a staple of Tarantino. And then we get to see more Chris Penn, who I really like. I actually even like him better than Sean Penn.
Turned into a fucking bullet festival. Took a cop hostage just to get the fuck out of there. Do I sound like I'm fucking joking?
Yeah, so now we see the tortures. We see the cops that try to torture. Mr. Eddie comes back and says, "Hey, you beat this guy long enough. He's gonna tell you whatever. Like he's gonna say he sucked your mother off, even though your mother doesn't have a dick, and your mother died like 2 years ago."
Fucking beat this prick long enough. He'll tell you started the goddamn Chicago fire. Now that don't necessarily make it fucking so!
So Mr. Eddie believes there is no setup. He wants to get the diamonds, so they leave. And here comes one of the greatest scenes ever. Now, Quentin Tarantino didn't invent this, the ironic use of music. Like, not even John Waters invented it, and he's back in the 70s. Ironic use of music's been around for years. Kind of like how in 2001: A Space Odyssey, the space travel was set to classical music. So here we have Mr. Blonde torturing a cop set to Stuck in the Middle with You.
Well, I don't know why I came here tonight. I got the feeling so.
Michael Madsen actually said, Tarantino, I don't know how to dance. So you start doing these moves and it works. This is really cool, the way it pans away from the ear cutting. Now apparently I heard Wes Craven was in the audience for one of the screenings of this film and he had to leave. And Quentin Tarantino was so happy that happened. So he's about to burn the cop alive, but he gets shot by Mr. Orange. Although, I'd rather show this part.
Sounds of the 70s continues.
Mr. Blonde doesn't check if he has a gun. Oh, anyway. So, we get more backstory with Mr. Orange, who turns out he's the undercover cop. He infiltrated the place and made friends with everybody, especially Mr. White, which is very important to the story. They're back. Mr. Blonde is dead. Eddie asks what happened. Mr. Orange says that he was going to kill them both and run off with the money. And Mr. Eddie tells him this guy just did 4 years for us, even though he could have just said his dad's name.
He got released from prison. He got caught at a company warehouse full of hot items. He could have fucking walked. All he had to do was say my dad's name, but he didn't. He kept his fucking mouth shut. And he did his fucking time, and he did it like a man.
And walked. But no, he did 4 years in prison for them. And he is a good friend of his. So he doesn't believe him. Now Joe's back. They have a heated argument with some amazing acting from everybody. Sean Penn, Steve Buscemi, Harvey Keitel, and Lawrence Fishburne. And they end up shilling each other because Larry really believes that Mr. Orange is innocent.
Don't make me do this.
Larry, stop pointing that fucking gun at my dad!
So, Mr. Pink escapes but is caught by the cops. And Mr. Orange and Mr. White are the only ones left. Although, Mr. Orange, seeing that Larry really believed him, feels terrible about it. And he actually has to confess that he really is a cop.
I'm a cop.
Out of pure compassion for Larry and the fact that he's dying almost too. So he confesses he's a cop. Larry fucking can't take it, shoots and kills him, and is shot by the cops.
Drop the fucking gun! I'm gonna fucking blow you away!
And that was Reservoir Dogs. Why did this movie work? It is an auteur voice film. It has great dialogue, great characters, some very gory action. Not too much action. This is nowhere near Tarantino's most violent film, even though they call him glamorized violence since like 1992. Even though his first one wasn't as violent. I mean, if they think his 90s films were violent, they weren't even ready for his 2000s films like Kill Bill, Django Unchained, Hateful Eight, kind of. Well, those are movies that are just covered in blood-soaked in blood. This is more tame. The characters are all greatly written. They all have a great personality. And like I said, these aren't just some criminals that you don't give a shit about. They feel like real people. Something Tarantino's very good at doing. Like, his ear for dialogue is great. His ear for how conversations happen, how natural his conversations sound are great. And yeah, I mean, this is just an amazing film with a lot of great acting. The direction is very good for a first-time director. I think this is like one of the best first-time features ever. And remember to like the video, comment, subscribe, and I will see you next time. Honest Critic out.